Welcome back to Hindsight the Podcast. I'm Lee Jones. Today, Eric and I will sit down with Roshawn Briscoe to talk about his transition from shuffling papers as an admin clerk in the United States Army to stepping on stage and making people laugh in LA. Let's get to it.
Welcome, Roshawn.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to come on. Let's get into it.
Right. So first off, I'd like to thank you, Roshawn, for having me on one of your episodes. It was a blast going back, looking back, and it kind of ties in with this one, hindsight, right? We're just looking back at those days when we were over in Iraq, running around in the sand.
Oh yeah, yeah. A lot of people enjoyed that episode. I had a few people tell me that one was their favorite so far.
I definitely had a lot of fun. And Eric, just so you know, Briscoe done taught me a lot on this podcast thing and gave me a few tips and pointed me in the right direction on a few things. So I definitely want to say thank you for that.
Oh yeah, we gotta learn and grow together. I'm still a baby myself, but
hey, we both crawling. We'll be running soon. When I first met you, it was when we were in Maryland and right before we went to Iraq.
Right.
But before that, like I don't really know your military history. I know that part of it. So just walk us through when did you come in the Army? Did you come in the active duty reserves? How did that work?
Well, I came into the reserves. It's funny. You said you don't know my military history before that. That's kind of the beginning of my military because I graduated 2002. I remember it was May 5th, 2002. I was in basic training 2-3 days after that. I do my basic and AIT, come home, and I had like maybe 4 or 5 months at my home unit. The 203rd where we met was my home unit. And we got mobilization orders that February. So I hadn't even been in a year.
So it's funny because that was the beginning of my reserve career because I was active duty and I went to Bosnia and I went to some other places and then I was just fed up because I was stationed at Fort Drum and I was like, I can't do this any longer, right?
Yeah,
so I
yuck.
got out of active duty. I went to AGR, Active Guard Reserve, and I went to Maryland, to Aberdeen, and I think I got there in January and February, the 4th, I believe it was, is when we got activation orders to go to Iraq. So that was pretty crappy, but met some good friends there.
Oh yeah, so many dope friends. I finally got Watt's number.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, he reappeared on social media, and I was just like, "Hey, I ain't heard from you. What's your phone number?"
So Watt has he was over in Iraq with us as well, Eric, and his son. What team does he play for?
Plays for Providence.
Plays for Providence, and he is a beast. Right. So me and Roshawn during the episode, we were just talking about like. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna show you some clips of him a little later on, Eric, and you'll be like, okay, and you'll probably start watching him too. He's a big boy, and he does the thing. So,
I'm a big
boys.
Jayhawks fan.
What's that?
Jayhawks.
Are you from Kansas?
No, that's where I spent most of my career was out at Fort Riley and Leavenworth.
Oh, okay.
I just became a fan.
I guess we could accept that.
So, Briscoe, tell us about your military service and what you did while you were in the Army.
Well, I mean, the 203rd is a intelligence unit. It's actually the only intelligence unit of its kind in the whole armed forces. By my MOS was like administration, but I worked in operations. So they had me doing like intel analyst work while we was over there because there's really nothing for an administrator to do in operations. And they were just like, yo, you just not going to sit around here and do nothing.
I was an infantryman back then, so I joined in 2004 and then went over to Iraq in 06, 07 for my first deployment.
So I say nice, but not really, right?
Right.
Yeah. No, we get it. Yeah. So we did that and came back. I almost got involuntary transferred 2 more times while I was there. There was one time, it was like, I was like 1 day from shipping. And they was just like, never mind, we don't need you. I'm like, man, stop playing with me like this. And then
hold on, involuntary transferred from where to where?
from the 203rd, I was almost involuntary transferred from the 203rd to two different units. One of them was like a male unit going to like Iraq. And I'm just like, oh my God. Because it was like we wasn't even back like a couple of months. And the commander's calling me to come up to the unit. Whatever, talking about you being, I'm like, we just came back. So those deployments never happened for me. Then I switched to like a chemical unit in Delaware, my home state. I deployed overseas with them, but like in between that, I did a bunch of like a temporary duty, Fort Lewis, McChord, Fort Dix, Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, some other places.
Oh man,
okay.
that all sounds horrible places.
No, well, no, I actually really dig Fort Lewis, McChord. Washington State's kind of like, I don't know, dreary. It's always like
Mhm.
overcasty or whatever. But Tacoma's like a cool little town. Yeah, and Seattle's pretty dope too. I think that's when I first learned. A lot of people don't know. There's like like people know Vancouver, Canada, but a lot of people don't know there's like a Vancouver side in the United States. And that's like when I first learned that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Eric and I, we actually had a unit that we used to under our command up in Fort Lewis, McChord, and so we used to go out there, do our job, and then go out and do some photography as well while we were out there. So definitely love the area. Eric, I don't know if you were there. No, you weren't there when I went up to Space Needle, were you?
No.
Yeah, you ever go to Space Needle, Rashawn?
No, 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 no. I kind of regret never going. I never did
Yeah,
that, and I never went to Mount Rainier.
I saw Mount Rainier from the airplane. Yeah,
And
that
I
was kind
felt
of
like
crazy.
I was satisfied with that
Yeah,
result.
I did want to go out there too, and I kind of do regret not going to Rainier, but I didn't. So, but I did do the Space Needle because every sci-fi movie that I look at, that damn thing falls down. If you ever see a sci-fi movie in Seattle, best believe the Space Needle's falling down. So I
Yeah,
wanted to experience that, not falling down, but just going up in there.
I wonder if anybody ever used it as like a spaceship in
Huh.
like a movie or something.
I'm
No,
sure. I don't
No,
know.
I'm thinking about my movie history trivia.
yeah,
I don't believe that they did.
yeah, because I know they did that one scene that one time in Men in Black
Men in Black.
in
Yep.
New York. They had like these students like, oh, those are like out of commission spaceships. I wonder if they
Exactly.
ever.
That was the first thing I thought about was that one. So why did you get out of the military? When did you get out? Your contract was up, or how did that work?
Yeah, well, my contract was expiring like a couple years before I was supposed to ETS. I had decided I was like, you know what, man. I had seen like a USO show, and like the people were acting and stuff like that. And I remembered back like in middle school when I would do the Black History plays every month and things like that. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I used to do that. I remember it used to be fun. And I like better than all these dudes. Not I was like, you know what? I think that's what I'm going to do. So when my time came with ETS, I just chose not to re-enlist, much to a few sergeants' dismay, because
Yeah,
they did their damnedest to keep me in. But I was like, nah, because with like my MOS, people always trying to send me places,
yeah,
and that would make it really difficult for me to put 100% into doing this thing. Because if you're gonna pursue a career in entertainment, you need to be all in or not at all.
Yeah, that's no doubt. And I think, with a lot of transition, you have to be all in, but I can't imagine the entertainment business. I mean, you're pretty much an entrepreneur of your own life, right? And you
Exactly,
gotta
exactly,
attack it.
exactly. Plus, I didn't want to be put in position. Let's say I book something really big, and then I need to get permission from the military to go do the job, and it's completely up to their discretion. They could say no,
Hmm.
and then I would have to turn down that opportunity. I'm like, I just didn't want to put myself in
So
that position.
what was your mentality at the time of transitioning? Did you just cut all ties, cut the cord, or was it a process for you?
I don't think it's really much of the like the last. It's so funny. The last tour I went on, there was like because things had changed, policies had changed by then, and it was like, oh, because you went during this time, you don't actually have to go with us. And then I decided I was like, okay, and I was going to stay home. Then I was like, no, because I found out that the unit they were going to run a base camp in Kuwait, even though there's always like the risk of orders changing while you in the air, and then you going across the berm to Iraq. But I decided to go. We stayed in Kuwait the whole time, and I did that deployment just so I can have some money because the moment I got back, I came out to LA and I had started taking like some acting classes and things like that.
So I know most actors or whatever, you hear the stories of how they just came out to LA with $10 in their pocket or something like that. Did you make a plan? Did you have a checklist on what you needed to do to come out to LA to start pursuing the entertainment career? What was that process about? How did you do that?
Well, no, I mean, I still had like a year or two left.
Right.
And when I came out to LA, it wasn't like, I know a lot of people only come out with like a limited money. I was in Kuwait for a whole year. I'm a single man with no mortgage or whatever, car paid off. So I was just stacking money. And I had like, I had like 5 months of leave built up that they forced me to take. So the whole time when I came out here the first time, I was still getting active duty checks, whatever. And all the friends that I met who were like broke, struggling actors, they was like, "Where are you getting all this money from? You don't even work." I'm like, "Don't even worry about that. Don't even worry about that." So I mean, that was nice. But what ended up happening was because I was taking acting classes at like a private studio, and my grandmother's a little bit annoyed that I just came back from Kuwait after like a whole year, and then I run off half all the way across the country to LA. And I was playing around with the idea of getting like a college degree because I was actually the first person in my immediate family to graduate with a college degree. And when I decided that I was going to do that, I was like, well, I'm going to go back to the East Coast, somewhere close to home, so my grandmother can have me for like at least a few more years. And that's what I did. I ended up going to a liberal arts college in New Jersey.
Man, that's dope. So take us back to that USO show that you kind of saw that really sparked that interest to make you take that next leap. I mean,
Yeah.
who was it? What happened?
I mean, I don't even remember like who it was. It was kind of like a variety, like kind of like improv or sketch show type of thing. And I just remember like thinking like these guys aren't that funny, you know. I'm like, and I'm like, but I was seeing, I was like, but they're working. They got this gig. They're traveling the country. They're going to all these places. I'm like, if they can do it, I know I sure can. Right,
Mm-hmm.
right, right. And I know that this might sound like a little arrogant, but I'm like, these guys really aren't that talented. And I remember me having like a little bit of talent.
You see the improv. So did that spur your interest in being an improv? Following that, or being an actor in a drama, or what were you looking towards?
Well, in my mind, I wasn't thinking about like improv or even comedy. I was thinking I was going to, because I had like the misconception that
Mm-hmm.
if I started out in comedy, nobody would take me serious as like a dramatic actor, which really just, isn't true. But
Mm-hmm.
at the time, I was just like, nah, like I'm an actor. I want to be taken serious.
Right, right.
So I really didn't do comedy for like a while. But when I stopped fighting it, that's actually when things started like opening up for me because I became more my authentic self. So
Right. So I remember looking at your Snapchat and a little bit on Facebook. You were always grinding and going to these auditions. Like, how did that shape you? Like, how did that prepare you? Each audition. Some were yeses, some were nos. Right. So what did you take from those experiences?
I mean, the reality of the business is, and I don't really care who you are,
Mm-hmm.
they're mostly no's with some yeses in between. They say on average for an actor who actually auditions well, they'll go on between like 20, 30 auditions to get one booking. And when you're starting out, there's a lot of actors who don't even get 20 auditions in a year. So I was really blessed to have the team that I have because like at my height, like I was averaging like 10, 12 auditions a month. So and it's a practice. A lot of people don't realize when you go like the acting class, you learn like the craft. Auditioning is its own separate skill. You can be like fantastic, like once you book the job, you have the craft. But to get the job, you have to audition. And there's a lot of people who are fantastic actors. I mean, just crazy, stupid, talented, cannot audition to save their life.
That's funny. I never even thought of it like that. I guess it's basically, well, not a resume, but an interview. You know, same interview. If you go into a job, if you blow the interview, you're not going to get to the job, right?
But an audition is kind of funny because there's a lot of factors that might determine if you get the role that are out of your control. I mean, you can go there and be, Marlon Brando and Sidney Poitier and give the best performance in the history of performances and not get the job because you're 6 inches taller than the guy you're going to play uh, next to, and that might look weird. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, there's so many reasons why you wouldn't book the job. You just have to go present what you do. Like, it's funny. Like when you go to audition, a lot of actors, especially starting out, they think that their job is to book the job. It's not. It's really just to present your best self. This is what I do. You either want it or you don't for this project. You don't audition to book the job. You audition to like build the relationship or
Hmm.
whatever for like the next audition, for like the next job so that they get to know you.
So you look very familiar, like another.
Ja-
So explain your hashtag.
yeah.
I love it.
Oh, that's what we're doing. Hashtag not Keenan. Yeah. So, it's funny because I have like I'm rocking like my beard now, and it's got like I got like a couple grays, so I'm like silver fox in it, and I'm really digging it. But I mean, like my core look is still with the shaved face, and for the life of me, I don't understand it. But a lot of people think I look like Keenan Thompson from SNL fame.
You do.
From you know what I think it is. I think we have because we're two very different performers. I just think we have like a very similar big energy, and we're like cuddly guys with big smiles. So
Right.
yeah, man, you got to use it. It's so funny when it first like started happening. People making that correlation, I hated it. It was something that like made me give you the side eye. Be like, shut up. Like I didn't like that distinction at all. Then I was watching a movie with Chiwetel Ejiofor. It was called Red Belt. It's about
Hmm.
like Brazilian jiu-jitsu and stuff. And there was one scene where I guess the character that he was working with, I guess she had been like a victim of like some type of assault on her by like a man. So she was really like skittish to be touched.
Okay.
And the lesson that he had in like that scene, he gave her like a little brief like jujitsu lesson. He was just like, there's no situation that you cannot escape or turn to your advantage. And that kind of resonated with me, even though that I didn't like this whole Keenan correlation. I was like, that's something I can use. And that's when I came up with like a branding tagline. No, I'm not Keenan, but I do love a good burger.
Yeah.
Dude, I was rolling when I read your bio.
Yeah. Because, I felt like that tells people it's like, okay, this guy's funny. And then it'll also ask the question, so if he's not Keenan, who is he?
Make them dig
Exactly.
deeper. Make them dig deeper.
Hmm. So, who was your mentor in the entertainment industry growing up?
Like, who did I look up to?
Yes.
Oh, man. I don't know. Well, Denzel Washington is my favorite actor, but I'm not sure I had like somebody I really wanted to emulate or be like. But Denzel's like I think he's one of like the last like pure movie stars, like especially like from his era that'll like do a movie and it'll still do well, make its money, and be successful. Because you look at a lot of those other guys from his era, like Tom Hanks and Adam Sandler, they'll do okay, but they're not kings like how they were. Denzel, whenever he does a movie, he's kind of still does its
Equalizer.
numbers. Yeah.
What made you finally make that transition from just being on the screen to just comedy stand up and being in front of people?
Well, people have been trying to get me to try to do stand up for years, and I was so resolved. I'm like, no, that's not for me. I'm not that kind of funny. I didn't have the confidence to think that I could like write jokes and then stand on the stage and tell them, which is why I kind of did like improv and sketch because I always felt like my funny was more like spur of the moment. We'd be in a situation with friends or something. somebody would say something, then I would respond with something crazy off the wall. People would laugh. A couple years ago, I actually I got sick. I had caught like pneumonia. I was supposed to film this commercial, and I felt like I caught pneumonia. I was like, well, let me go to the doctor. Let me go to the hospital, get some antibiotics. And by the time they kick in, I'll be cool to do the commercial. And so I went to the ER, and the doctor in the ER is like, yeah, there's something going on. We're not sure what it is. We're going to admit you. And I ended up staying there for 12 days and coming to the realization that I have a chronic pulmonary disease. When I had got out, I was still kind of like recovering, and I was sitting around not being creative because I had took like a hiatus from auditioning and stuff, losing my mind. And then I remember, this is my favorite stand-up comedian right now. It was a special on Netflix by Joe Coy, Filipino American stand-up. And I had never even heard of Joe Coy before this, but it was a special coming in hot. And I had put it on just on the whim, but I remembered I was doing something else on my laptop because it was like a Netflix special. And then I remember he has this bit about like a hula dancer. And I remember it making me laugh out loud. And I was just like, wait a minute, who is this guy? I was like, hold on. Bring that back, DJ. I need this from the top, And it was actually watching that special for some reason gave me the desire. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to do stand up while I'm still like, taking the months to focus on my health, get in the best shape I possibly can. So for a few months while I'm still at home recovering and stuff, I'm just writing jokes. And then that summer, because this happened like in the spring, that summer, I started going to like open mics, and from there it was just like, yo, like I got to do this.
How does it feel to just get up on the stage in front of people and try to make them laugh?
Yeah, well, I mean, because I come from a theater background. I have like a bachelor's in theater, so I'm no stranger to performing in front of people, man. Well, but it's hard to explain. It's like it's different. So like when you're standing on the stage and you tell like a joke that like really really lands, and then you see like them kind of do that like little double over in laughter. I mean, you feel like a god. Like when the whole room is filled with laughter, and everybody's just like, and like you really have their attention. I mean, it's almost indescribable, man.
Well, how does it feel when you bomb?
You know what? I actually.
And don't say you haven't felt that before.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't. But wow. No. But listen. I haven't been doing it long enough. All comedians bomb. It's part of the process because I had only been doing, as far as like comedy, I had only been doing stand up for like a little bit over the year before coronavirus hit.
Right.
So outside of like a lot of open mics, I only did like a few shows, and they all went like really well. But I haven't performed in front of an audience that like isn't my audience. But you know what? I want to bomb, because I need that experience to learn from and grow. Because I mean, I've seen people bomb, like even like at open mics, and man, there's nothing louder than a silent room full of people. Yeah, a silent room full of people who are supposed to be laughing. And it gets awkward really fucking quick. I'm sorry because it, but yeah, so, and it's so funny because this open mic was like in the back of like a bar, and it was like so silent. I swear, like I could hear people like opening their car doors in the parking lot.
Oh Lord.
Like I mean, it was like bad. But you know what? He owned it. I loved it. It was going so bad for him because he only had like 5 minutes. And then he asked the host, he was like, how much time do I have? There's like, you have like 2.5 minutes. And then he paused. He's like, oh, snap. I still have all this time. Then he's just like, well, I'm not leaving. And everybody's like, yeah.
But how did his remaining 2.5 minutes go?
It got better because, I guess he realized it can't go no worse than that. And he just kind of started talking. He did like some crowd work.
There you go.
But no, like I need that experience of bombing. I need it badly. I haven't been heckled yet either. And it's so funny. Even though like we as comedians, like we tell jokes, it's still funny people who will be in the audience or whatever.
Right.
And it's no guarantee. Like I've seen like clips of people who didn't know how to control a heckler and got absolutely shredded, had them take over the show. So, I mean, these are things I'm not afraid to like experience that I want to. It's not that I'm so good. It's just I haven't been performing enough live shows yet to
Yeah,
experience it.
it's definitely an art. And, the feeling of laughter is probably the best feeling for any person, imaginable. But we're going on a year now of this pandemic. How has your industry been affected, and how have you had to just personally shift?
Right. So, as far as acting, I haven't been auditioning because, I have a chronic pulmonary disease, which
Hmm.
is serious. So if I catch coronavirus, it's probably going to be really, really bad for me.
Right.
So I don't go around and like mix with like large crowds and groups of people, and there's hundreds of people on set or
Right.
whatever. Plus, they have the stories of crew members and stuff getting coronavirus, and like, listen, buddy, you're not about to kill me.
Yeah, I know that's right.
you know, this will end one day, and when it does, I'll be back in these streets. But as far as like stand up, it's kind of like put me in the pickle too, because comedy clubs closed, so people started doing open mics and comedy shows on Zoom, and I haven't really watched any yet, but from some of my other comedian friends who've doing them, if you can find like the right ones, they can be kind of good. And I have a ton of material that I still need to work out that I didn't get a chance to work out before. Like almost 2 hours worth of material. And if I can even if just like a third of that is good, I'd be straight. But I'm not really sold on the Zoom mic yet, because for me, it's about feeling the energy of the people. That's
Hmm.
like such a crucial part of me like building my sets and stuff. But I'm inching closer and closer to like trying it and experience it, because I mean I got things to do. I actually plan to release a couple like comedy albums, but not like full albums. You know how like back in the day, when a new emerging like music artist, they'll drop like an EP or a
Hmm.
mixtape or something like that, short little like snippet. And I was like, how come nobody does that for comedy albums? I might not be able to do like a whole like 30 minutes or an hour. But I'm like, yo, I can do 8. I
Right.
can do, you know what I mean? I can do 12. Why
Yeah.
can't I why can't I make an album, a comedy album that's 8 or 12 minutes or whatever, uploaded digitally online to like grow my fan base and reach
Dude,
an audience that I might not have.
Hmm.
this is absolutely the time to start thinking about that, and you're already thinking about it, but actually putting it in play, because you got a lot of fans and a lot of people who are starving for entertainment, right? And if you can reach them the way you can reach them, this is a different way. It could be something that transform later on down the road too, and become a thing.
Yeah, and I was like, man, I think I got it like all planned. They're going to be like conceptual, you know,
Yeah,
and depending on how well they do, I like, I can actually combine them to do like a 20 or 30-minute set later down the road.
Oh yeah, for sure. But now we're in a time. I think this past year everybody's been at home, and we've just been eating up everything on Netflix or Hulu, every kind of streaming device out there. So we're begging for some new content. What are you hoping for 2021, and how do you want to see it all kind of play out?
It would be nice if I can go back outside.
Right, right.
Yeah, without worrying about my lungs being completely destroyed
yes,
or what's
sir.
left of them.
Yes, sir.
Because like I'm itching to like get back on that stage, but I've just been like writing more. I'm still taking like like acting classes and stuff. Uh, like via like Zoom, because you have to always stay training. Even like the big stars,
Hmm.
they'll bring acting coaches on set. It might not be there like the whole time on set, but maybe for like a specific scene, they'll have like a coach. Like those guys aren't without training.
Continuing to invest in themselves and their craft. So,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, it's like being an athlete. LeBron James was always a phenom. He
Yeah.
still got to go to practice and
Yeah.
get better.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
the same. It's the same with us. But I really I want to make my mark. I want to do like sitcom, like the old school like 3 camera situational comedy, and they're starting to kind of make a comeback. You
Mm-hmm.
know, because for a while they got away from like the 3 camera sitcom, doing like single camera comedy. So
Yeah.
like the shows like Family Matters, Full House,
Mhm.
though those were like the multicam, and replaced by shows like Community, The Office, which were single camera.
So, now I know we talked about what you plan to do and what 2021 hopes to look like, but right now you just started. We mentioned it a little earlier. You started your podcast. Tell us a little bit about that. How did you get the motivation or the inspiration to start the podcast?
Again, it was kind of like how when I started stand up, sitting around not being creative, losing my mind. I have to do something creative. I'm like, this is nuts. And it's not like I can go outside, like with friends and do like other things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, so this is something I can do from my home. So I was like, you know what? I'm start like a podcast, and I toiled over for like a few months because I was like, I didn't know what to do or what to talk about. And then finally I decided, I was like, you know what? I don't need to know. I can figure it out as I go. And somebody was just like, well, just talk, like give your opinions on stuff. And I was like, you know what? I can do that. And I was like, you know what? Instead of just being by myself, I'll just invite friends and other people, and we'll just like talk like we're friends, about different stuff that's
Yeah.
happening in the news or pop culture, or society in general. And then I came up because the podcast is called No One Asked You. and and it kind of came to me as like, well, a lot of times, especially on the internet, when you chime in on something and give your opinion and somebody don't like it or it goes counter to what they believe, people always like, well, no one asked you anyway.
Exactly. Hold on, I'm trying to look because I'm trying to look up the exact text messages we had back and forth because I know how did that work? Because I know I said, "Hey, I'm about to do a podcast," and you was like, "I already did a podcast or something." Hold on.
Yeah. I was like, I just
Oh
started
no,
one.
here you go. You said, "Ha ha ha! I was going to invite you to talk on my podcast about almost the same thing. Let's do it." So, and the reason why I bring that up is because a lot of times you do need inspiration, right? Because you'll get stuck in planning mode. And you just spoke to it so eloquently just a second ago about how people are just like, just do it, right? You'll figure it out down the road, but just get started. And so I appreciate you for helping Eric and I. You like I said earlier, you gave a lot of, you pointed us in the right direction on a lot of things that you had already learned. And I
Right.
definitely appreciate that input because it helped me to stop doing a lot of um, looking over stuff and trying to figure stuff out and just do it, right? And the
Yeah.
last thing was just, I'm going to post, well, Eric and I were going to post a podcast on February the 12th or the 9th or whatever day it was, period. That's it. That's the day. And once again, like I said, I appreciate that inspiration.
Oh yeah, no problem. See, like my big thing is I believe in community. We have to we have to grow together. I believe that, you have to celebrate your friends' wins like they're your wins. And, our strength is in community. So I believe I'm like, yo, share your resources. There's enough for all of us,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know. And with the sharing of information, you learn things you might not have learned, you know, that'll help you get to like the next rung on the ladder, you know. We can
Right.
climb it. We can climb it together.
Exactly.
If somebody slip and fall, the guy's right there. He got you to hold you up and pull
That's
you
it.
back.
And
So
we definitely already made that commitment. So there that is. Hey, but real quick, if you only could give one one piece of advice for someone who was trying to pursue, or so not try, but someone who was pursuing entertainment or even stand-up comedy, whichever one you choose, to give that advice, what would you tell them?
Um, uh,
You can do two if you need to, but
yeah. Well, as far as stand up, I would say you need to get on stage as much as possible. So, you know, as far I like for acting and stuff, I believe in like training is skill sets you learn, and they have like stand up comedy classes too. Even though there's like a huge stigma for people who take stand up comedy classes, they're essentially like workshops almost. The biggest thing about stand up comedy is that the education is experiential. Um, you have to learn in real time by doing. So if you're not getting on stage as much as you can, you're really doing yourself as a disservice because they say, oh, it takes 10,000 hours to like master something.
Right.
Although, I mean, I get that whole analogy, but it doesn't take everybody 10,000 hours. Some people are just more gifted than others in reality. You
I
know what I
know
mean?
that's right.
You know, for it might take one person 20,000 hours and another person five.
right,
You know,
right.
because we're all different. But I mean, you still got to put in like the time. And when you're first starting out, especially doing like open mics and stuff, you're only going to get 3 or 5 minutes. So if you're only going up once a week, you're not doing enough for you to actually grow, in your craft. Like before coronavirus hit, I was on stage every day doing like I'll be working on like the same kind of sets,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm at open mics, but I would do like 20 minutes of time every day, So for some of the people that I was like coming up with, who were going like different mics but weren't getting up every day, my growth was exponential to theirs. Whatever. And it's like,
Hmm.
oh man, like, your set's really coming along. Like you really building that out. I'm like, yeah, because I'm up every day.
Tell us how you feel right before you go on stage. Do you have a routine?
Uh, um, well, no, I don't have a routine um yet. I just I try to be kind to myself. Let
Mm.
myself know uh whatever whatever is going to happen is going to happen, good or bad. I can't control it. Just go out there, do my best, and then it'll end, and then I'll have another day.
I like that. I just
I
be
love
kind to myself. I like that.
Yeah, yeah,
I
that.
never
yeah. No,
heard
no,
it
no,
like that.
no, 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 no. I just think like and this is like a message for everybody out there. It doesn't matter what you do. Like we we often fill ourselves with this perceived narrative, based on whatever shit we've been through. Um, like some people can't take compliments. Like, oh man, you so good. They have this negative perceived, narrative about themselves, which could be limiting, something that you can like hold you back. I really believe in the practice of being kind and gentle with yourself.
Mhm.
Uh, not necessarily feed it in to like the negative narratives that we often create for ourselves, and just let it happen. And especially when you're first starting out doing something, normally when you first starting out doing something, you're not that good at it. You have to do it for a while until you develop the experience, the confidence, and the skill.
That's great. That's deep. I would like to identify or know, what skills did you learn in the army that you're still using today?
What skills? Oh, uh that's that's easy. The ability to be adaptable because things
Bam.
change.
That's it.
And anybody who ever served in the military, I remember I think it was the deployment we went on. Remember we was like supposed to be we was like packing all of our gear to go by plane. And then once we did that, the next day they was like, no, it's going by ship. So we had to unpack it and get it
Oh
all ready to
yeah,
go by ship.
yeah,
And then the day
yeah.
after that, they was like, nope, it's going by plane again. I'm like, come on.
And then we left, and I think our stuff showed up like 2 or 3 months later.
Right.
So it took forever for us. We were just sitting there basically doing nothing, just waiting on our stuff to get there. But
Right. We because we kept unpacking it for one way, then repacking it for another way, and then repacking it the way we had it before. We did that like 4 or 5 times, and we just sitting around like, "Yo, this is stupid."
it absolutely was, but adaptable. That is definitely. I should have said that. What advice, or not advice, but what skill do you use now? I'll save that for the next interview and see if the next person comes up with the same answer,
Hmm.
because
Okay.
that's definitely a trait that you need in this world. Period.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Because like no matter how much you plan, like things probably even with all the contingencies that you can make up, things probably aren't going to go 100% as you planned it. That's like really, really rare. So
Right.
you need to be able to, when there's like a fork in the road or a roadblock, be comfortable and confident enough to know how to pivot and take a new direction that you wasn't expecting to take.
So
he's like, that's it. There it
You're
is.
right.
it
It's
sounds
a
like
wrap.
this is a good way to wrap it up, man. I really, truly appreciate you coming on, and I'm available if you want to do another podcast down the road. I'm
Oh,
available to talk
oh, oh
about
no.
whatever. I was
Yeah,
listening.
definitely, definitely.
I was listening to some of your other episodes in men's sensitivity and all those. They're really good. So
Oh,
I want to go
thank
on
you. I
and talk
appreciate it.
about. I want to talk about something and not just reminiscing about what we did. You get what I'm saying?
Oh
So
no, no, no! I definitely have it. And Eric, you want to come on? Y'all can come on together if you want.
Hey, I'm down.
that sounds
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
That sounds good. We'll set it up.
yeah,
But
definitely, definitely.
you got an amazing website page.
Oh, thank you,
Amazing.
thank you.
So
Designed it myself.
I'm gonna talk to you about that too.
Right. Yeah. So, you can reach me via my website, Roshawn Briscoe Official.com. I hate to say this, but I'm Googleable. So, if you Google Roshawn Briscoe, most of the links at the top are going to be me, Instagram,
Nice.
IMDb, my website, things like that. You can find me on Instagram at it's Roshawn B, one word, ITS Roshawn B on Instagram and Twitter. Also, my podcast is through Anchor, Nobody Ask You Pod. But if you search Nobody Ask You on like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you
Yeah.
should be able to find the brother that looks like Keenan.
And I'll definitely put all those links in there as well, so they can search it on the podcast notes.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Any final words for all the listeners? Man, this has been great. It's really been great. I love talking to this guy, Eric.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, he is remarkable. I can't wait to hear some more of your podcast and turn on Netflix and see you doing a stand up.
Most
Oh
definitely.
man, that would be great. Whatever. Maybe I can do it like my guy Joe Coy, because one of the things I loved about Joe Coy, he because he'd been in the game forever, like 30 years. The first time he went to like Netflix, they was just like, oh, you're on my list, but no, no, no. And then he was just like, you know what? Forget this. Took like $100,000 of his own money, did his own special in Seattle called Live from Seattle, and then ended up selling it to Netflix. So then the
Dang.
next, yeah, so then the next one coming in hot, they gave him money to do it.
Absolutely.
Shoot. Sound like
Absolutely.
you need a GoFundMe.
Let's get you going. Hey, Joe Coy came out to Camp Pendleton too, Eric. I actually did get to meet him. So
Oh,
Oh, you did?
nice.
Oh man, I'm so jealous.
absolutely.
You know what?
Absolutely.
It's so funny. I wrote him a letter, like the whole story that I told you about how I got excuse me, into stand up. I actually wrote him a letter, and then I like never sent it. I might try to send it to him. I think maybe I tried to email it once, but
He'll
like he
probably
probably
read it. He'll probably
like he
read it
probably
now.
yeah. But I was thinking about maybe sending it to his DM and his Instagram, but just me dealing with like my own shit. I don't want to seem like really like thirsty, but I really wanted him to know that what he did for me, how inspiration he was with me starting stand up, especially so late.
Yeah.
Hey, that's your next challenge. Hit the send.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
just do it, man. People appreciate that because you know you don't you make people laugh and everything, but you never truly know how many people you actually touch and influence and inspire. And I think he'll receive that as long as he gets it. He doesn't have a publicist or somebody in the way, reading it. I think he'll
Yeah.
definitely take to it, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I know he's pretty active on his social. So like if I DM him and it doesn't get lost in like the thousands of other DMs he must get,
Yeah,
or whoever like read like somebody like whether it's him or somebody from his team, if they read it.
right,
But
right.
if it's like somebody from his team, they read it, they probably say, "Oh, that's pretty cool," and show it to him.
Yeah. So hit send, buddy.